Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Saad Sangat Ji, welcome back to a new episode in the Charitropakhyan series. Today we'll be covering Charitra number 6, and just like before in the previous Charitra, this Charitra starts in the same way. Dohera band saal ko poo patab nichsat diyo pathaye por hot mantri sahat bohro liyo balai. Just like in the previous Charitra, when the narration of the previous Charitra is done, the tale is done by advisors to Raja Charitr Singh. Raja Charitr Singh sends his son Hanwant Singh down back into the dungeons, into the jail, and then once the night is finished, day rises, the sun rises. Hanwant Singh is then called again to the darbar along with the advisors for a new story, a new tale to be told. Pun mantri aise kahi ek triya ki baat so sunr parijat peho koho mohitat. The advisors today on a new day, they tell Raja Charitr Singh, today we'll tell you a new tale. And Raja Charitr Singh is so happy to hear this new tale. He said, go on, please tell me this new tale, my son. Talking to the advisors, go on, tell me the next tale. Because each tale, Saad Sangat Ji, takes away one more doubt of Raja Charitr Singh. The advisors are trying to advise Raja Charitr Singh from making a very bad decision, from making a very rash decision of executing his own son. But they can't tell Raja Charitr Singh straight up because he's the king. As a political advisor, they're navigating around telling the truth in an explicit manner. They're navigating around that. Henceforth, they're telling these stories to teach Raja Charitr Singh through his own intuition. Through these stories, Raja Charitr Singh's own intuition is meant to wake up, to make the right decision. In that same way, Saad Sangat Ji, by hearing these stories, our own intuition should rise up as well, so should wake up as well and be able to, like they say, smell the coffee, be able to fight our own desires. So let's hear today's story. Ek badu thi jaat ki duja bari gawar. So in this story, there was a daughter of a Jat. Jat is a farmer. There was a daughter of a farmer who was married off to a Gawar, to someone we will say not very well educated. So she was married off to someone who was not educated. Khel akhetak nirpat ek aan peo tehi yaar. And because she was married off to someone who was not educated, you can say that maybe her life, her family life, her relationship was not doing very well. One day, a Raja came and was playing shikar, was hunting in her area. He saw her, and he and she, they both fell in love with each other. Yeah, and maybe the husband was at home or whatever had happened. This Raja became her friend. Yeah, became her boyfriend essentially. Adil lang chalala ko ek rae bakhaniya badukar shah so bir jagat main janiya. So the city this Raja would take care of was the city of Lang Chalala, and the Raja's name was Madukar Shah. He in the world was seen as a very pious king, and here is described as a Bir. Bir means a surbir, a warrior. He was seen to be a warrior by the world. Malmati jatiya so neho lagayo ho khel akhetak pavan tavan ko ke aayo. And the name of the Istri, the name of the woman who was cheating on her spouse, her name was Malmati. And whenever the Raja would come to play hunting, he would come meet her as well in her house, and they would perform adultery behind her husband's back. Dohera khel akhetak aan nriparatmani teh sang ehi beech avat peo jat rish ke rang. One day, so happened as the king came over and he's making love with this Malmati, her husband, Malmati's husband came over, and when he was over, Guru Sahib also says Rish ke rang, his complexion was not very fair. Yeah, so this can also be another part that A, we know he's not very well educated. B, now we know that he's not very fair or handsome looking either. So these could be some of the reasons why Malmati chose this adultery relationship. Jatavat lakh nrip daryo kehyo na darbal jao tehe nikat tehe dekhat tohe kaad ho taake sir tar pao. by seeing the Raja saw, this her husband coming in probably from the window. He saw the husband's getting near. He got scared. He got frightened. He gets frightened, and Malamati tells her boyfriend, this Raja, that don't worry, you will be able to get out of this house by stepping over this man, right? I'll like as an expression, right? Like "Koi gal nahi, tu parwah na kari, I'll get you out of here," right? Kind of thing. Don't worry, I'll get you out of this mess, and you'll walk out with style. You won't have to walk out in besti. You will be able to walk out by putting your feet on this man's head, on my own husband's head. Adil ek kuthriya beech rav ko rakhiyo, roye bachan murk so ehe bidapakhiyo. She puts the Raja in a storehouse inside her house, in a different room, right? She goes out and greets her husband. And what happened? What does Malamati do? She comes out and she starts crying. She starts crying in front of her husband. What does she say? She says, "Ran samay ek buro sapno mohe aayo, ho janak to kahe syam pujang chabayo." I had a nightmare last night. And in that nightmare, what happened? A black snake was there and it bit you. Malamati is telling her husband that I had a nightmare. In the nightmare, what happened was a black snake came and it bit you. It's a superstition. It's like a bad omen if you have that kind of dream. So basically, she says that's what happens to me. Dohara taante main apne sadan dijbar liyo balaye, on moko aso ke ase kahyo ped sakal samjai. For that reason, I called over an astrologer. And the astrologer deciphered my dream, and he told me the reason you had this dream was that your husband is going to die. But I can fix that. The way you can fix it is this: Jo ko nar pat brata jab japa hitlae akasamatar pragata purakh ek poop ke paai. If a woman were to be so faithful to her husband and were to meditate all night long in her heart, what would happen is that there will be a man that will appear. A king will appear in her house. Jo tumre sir jaye tar purkh pav bad paag, to tum ho jeevat bacho hamro bacha suhag. And that king will appear and he will step on your feet. She's telling her husband, right? This is the remedy that the astrologer told me, was that I have to do a bunch of meditation. I have to be so faithful to you. And if that's true, a king will appear. A king will appear from our house. He will come out and he will take his feet and step on your forehead. And then if that happens, then we're blessed. We have great destiny. Why? Because you will stay alive and my sohag will bacha rahega. Sohag means that, so in Hagan is that person who has her love of her husband, meaning her husband is alive. Right? So she's saying that if you're alive, I'll keep my sohag. It's an honor for a bride to have a sohag, right? So she says all this, and then what happens? Taante tav agya pe jab japat ho jaye, tumre mare main jar maro jiyo jive sukh paye. She says that for that reason, I took your agya, like as in I took your blessings, even you were in your home. I took your blessings and I started doing this job. I started doing this meditation, right? And why? Because if you are alive, she's telling her own husband, if you stay alive, then I stay alive. As in, if you're alive, then I live, right? And I receive happiness, right? So basically, she's playing the game of hypocrisy. This is what hypocrisy is, right? This is what you call pakhand, right? It's saying that, like, she's saying that, like, she's saying, if this all happens, A, I'm very faithful to you. B, then I've done a great amount of meditation for you. And then C, she says, my love is like this for you. That if you're alive, I'm living. If you're alive, I have all the happiness of the world. If you're alive, I'm a sohagan, right? So she's basically playing pakhand, right? It's a double role. In the back, behind his back, she's committing adultery, but in front of him, she's playing pakhand, right? And Guru Sahib Ji in all Gurbani talks about pakhand. That's the main thing they talk about, right? They say that if we're wearing the religious robes, we're doing the actions of a religious person, a pious person, but in our heart we have something else. Because Guru Sahib says, Jinman hor mukh hor se kande kacheya. That those people that have something else in their inside, but something else on their mouths, they're going to be proven kacheya and maraj darbar. Kache meaning they're not going to be, kache means the opposite or ripe. they're not ready. They're not ready for what they're wearing outside. They're not ready for these robes or this religious path that they've been on. They were kache. They were still unripe, right? Ripe is that fruit that's ready to eat, right? Who is ripe? Guru Sahib says, Dilo mohabbat jin sahi sacheya. Those people are pure. Those people are true. That have true love in their hearts. And not just something else on the outside, but something else on the inside. The outside, they're showing their lovers, but inside they have something else. And this is exactly what Malamati is doing. Okay, let's continue. Jo ho so patbrata jo mo main sat aaye ek purkh tab jaye tar ya ke sir par paaye. So she say, if I am truly Patibrata. Patibrata means, Bharat, you might have heard before, refers to fasting, but what it really refers to is restraining. Brat rakhna. It means to restrain yourself from something, right? Patibrata means to restrain yourself towards only your husband. And Istribrata means to restrain yourself only to your wife, referring to a faithful person to their spouse. So she says, if this were to happen, that I were to be completely patibrat, if I were to be completely faithful to you, if I have that honor, then a Raja will appear from our house, put his feet on your face and walk out. So let's see what happens next. Sunat bachan Raja uthyo taake sir par thaan geo prasanya moorkh peo triya patibrat jaan. What happens? The Raja is sitting in the room. He hears this whole story being played out. He hears his wife saying all this. He's like, okay, that's my cue. He comes out of his door. He walks out. Her husband, Malamati's husband, standing there like, whoa, it really happened. The Raja comes forward. The husband lays down like, okay, this is what's going to happen now. The Raja places his foot on the face of the husband and walks out. And the Guru Sahib calls him a murik. That husband of Malamati, is sitting there smiling, with a smile on his face, thinking that my wife is so faithful to me. Yeah, and that's the end of the 6th Charitar. Sahaj Sangat Ji, Guru Sahib is showing us a story of someone who is being an imposter. She's saying that she's patibrat. She's saying that if this were to happen, I am so faithful to you. That proves my faithfulness to you. But it's actually the reverse, But here, this person was not able to see past this charitar, this play of hers, of her own wife, And something cool about the names, Malamati. Malamati means the possessions of the world. That's what the word really translates to. It's the possessions of the world. Madhukkar Shah was the name of the king. Madhukkar means the bumblebee, right? So in a way, you can say that what does a bumblebee do, right? Bumblebee looks for fragrances. It looks for the fragrance of the flower, right? It's going from one flower to next flower, going from one flower to next flower. Guru Sahib, to me, this spoke to me in a spiritual sense that our soul is meant to be a bumblebee and it's meant to take the fragrance of love of the Guru. But it's meant to take the fragrance of Gurbani, the fragrance of Sadh Sangat. But what happens is that we get enticed by the world. We get enticed by these worldly possessions. Malamati. The Madhukkar Shah is a Raja, he's a king. The soul is a king. Maharaji says, Jo Brahmande Soi Pinde. That whatever is in this universe is inside you. Everything we always want is inside of us. But we unfortunately do not know that. We think it's all outside. We start running outside. We start running to Malamati and we get trapped. And basically in that way, we start committing, we turn our back to our true love, our Guru. So Sahaj Sangat Ji, this was today's episode. Please forgive us for many mistakes. I'd love to hear from you. What you learned from this episode, please come down in the comment section below and comment. And do share this video to others that you think they can help others as well to understand this beautiful Bani Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj. And I'll see you in the next episode. Sahaj Sangat Ji, aao fateh bulaiye. Vaheguru Ji ka khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki fateh.